Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
It's The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
Well, if any of you are wishing to be informed and enlightened, your wish is about to come true, because there is nobody better than Dr. Carole Lieberman. She's not only an accomplished psychiatrist, she's an author, a radio and TV commentator. She's one of the most sought-after expert witnesses in trials all over the country. And she's someone with an opinion on just about everything, and somebody that knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Very pleased to welcome Dr. Carole Lieberman. Dr. Lieberman, it's great to talk to you again.
Thank you. Good to talk to you, too. That was a great introduction.
Well, so there's a lot that I want to go over with you. But one of the things that I have to ask you is, for people that don't know, you've been called America's psychiatrist. But one of the other monikers that you've acquired over the years is the terrorist therapist. Now, why would you be called the terrorist therapist? You're not strapping bombs to yourself as you're counseling patients or anything, are you?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No, it's because, well, first of all, I'm a born and bred New Yorker. And when 9/11 happened, even though by then I was living in California, my heart was still in New York and still is. And so I was very touched by it. And I asked myself, what can I do? Because I realized that this was going to be the biggest threat to society in our lifetime, terrorism. And so I asked myself what I could do to help people as a psychiatrist, as an author, as a media, talking head, and so on. And I came up with this idea that I was going to devote a significant part of my work to not only helping people cope with terrorism, but also warning people, keeping people attuned to what is going on, so that they won't be caught as unaware in the future. Of course, we are so complacent. We've gotten so complacent. People are so ignorant, complacent, lazy, feeling helpless after the pandemic, all kinds of things, but not paying attention to the fact that there are terrorists in our streets. So I've been helping people, of course, in America primarily, but also in England, in regard to their terror attacks. That was my first book. And then in France, in Paris, and in Israel, I've been helping people all over to deal with terrorism.
Well, that's great. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think of a psychiatrist as someone that you would turn to for guidance on terrorism, but the reason it's terrorism is because these violent acts really do inspire terror, which is very much a psychological response. You had a book called Lions and Tigers and Terrorists, Oh My, How to Protect Your Child in a Time of Terror. That book, which has won all sorts of awards, does that deal primarily with how to broach the subject of terrorism with your child in a way that won't paralyze them with fear?
Yes, essentially. And the first half of the book is for grown-ups, parents, and teachers. And the second half is a picture book for kids. So it takes all the key factors, key events, 9/11, of course, and the cartoon, the Mohammed cartoon in Paris, the magazine, and the Boston Marathon, the underwear bomber, all of the things, of course, Osama bin Laden, all of the things that the key parts of terrorism that, classical parts that one really needs to know. And so the first part, when the parents, the grown-ups, read that, it's all about questions kids are most likely going to ask you, and if they don't ask you verbally, they want to know these things. how to answer their questions, how to get them to express their feelings about it. And then the second half, the parent or teacher goes through the second half of the picture book, and it basically, like, for example, what is a terrorist? A terrorist is like a bully on the playground. And so then there's a picture of a bully on the playground. But it goes into the, religious aspects to a point also, like the idea that they want you to believe that what they believe. And, it really doesn't, it doesn't pussyfoot, but
Gotcha.
it also doesn't scare them. And a lot of trying to get them to express their feelings and what to do, how to make themselves more resilient, all kinds of things like that. So it's unfortunately going to be ever more necessary as we are going to be having terror attacks here.
At 30 minutes after the hour, this is The Other Side of Midnight. My guest is Dr. Carole Lieberman. This next week, we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the October 7th terrorist attack in the Middle East. And obviously, there's going to be all sorts of television coverage about this, all sorts of newspaper coverage about this, as there should be. And I think a lot of focus on what the status of the hostages is, what the status of the war is, the fact that the war only seems to be expanding. And a lot of children, even if they only pay passing attention to the news, are going to see some potentially very troubling images or hear some very disturbing things, especially if, like in our house, you try to make an effort to keep your child informed of what's going on in the world. How do parents talk to their children about something like that, whether it's the 1-year anniversary of the October 7th attack, whether it's the 20th anniversary of September 11th, or anything else, when they see these images and have a serious discussion in a way that doesn't frighten them?
Yes. It is very important to take the opportunity of these anniversaries and, to as a time to talk to children. Because the children will, as you said, they will be seeing things, some more than others. And if you don't talk to them about it, if you don't open up the conversation, they will get the message that you don't want to talk about it, that this is too scary, or this is, something even worse than what they can imagine. And, it's not just it's on the television or the radio and all the media, but it's also in school. Other kids talk to other kids and make it even scarier. Or they have like siblings who are older and they feed all this misinformation, and kids are really frightened about it. And to tell them that, it's nothing to worry about, whether you're talking about 9/11 or October 7th, is lying to them, because, this is Israel is the canary in the coal mine. And it's not just happening in Israel. It's happening. That's what radical Islamists teach in the madrasas, teach their kids. The first thing that you need to do to make Allah happy is to destroy Israel and kill Jews. But it doesn't stop there. The plan is global jihad. So kids, we have been fortunate in America for several years that we haven't had any major attacks, but we are more in danger today than we were before 9/11, with all the terrorists coming across the border, the 80,000 Afghans that were brought in here, the different people who are being flown in that we don't even know about. And of course, it's already happening in Europe, where radical Islamist migrants are taking over France and England and Germany. So we can't keep our head in the sand. We have to realize that this is something that's going to be happening here. Another example is the Taylor Swift concert that was canceled in Vienna. So kids are going to be, they're going to hear Taylor, or they did hear Taylor Swift. They're going to want to know why was her concert canceled? So I'm not saying that people need to, be thinking about this 24/7, but we have the protesters in the streets, and it's going to be scary on October 7th, because that's going to be a time when it should be a time when we're honoring the people who died and the hostages and all of that, but it is a very tempting date for the protesters to do something, stage some violent or event.
Yeah, even if it's not overtly violent, it could be something potentially dangerous, like blocking a bridge, which we've seen before, or certain types of vandalism. If folks are just tuning in, I'm Frank Morano. This is The Other Side of Midnight. My guest is Dr. Carole Lieberman. In addition to terrorism, one of the other things that we've heard a great deal about as a source of anxiety for both children and parents has been school shootings. We've seen a number of these school shootings, and, chances are most children will be able to go to school and not get shot and be victimized. They are becoming more and more common. They're becoming more and more widely covered, and there's an increasing awareness about them. With this uptick in school shootings, there seems to be dueling approaches on how to handle this. One has schools doing these school shooting drills, which the children themselves participate in, just as they would a fire drill or a shelter drill or something along those lines. The people that don't like that say that you're essentially panicking the children to death. You're taking something that's unlikely to happen, and you're getting them all worried about that. Where do you stand, Carole, on the issue of whether children, not the staff, but the children, should be engaging in these school shooter drills?
I am against it. The number of children who will be made anxious because of these drills compared to the number of children who could possibly die in whatever school shootings we have in that next year, one doesn't outweigh the other. It's not worth it to make all those other children so frightened. It's one thing for the staff. Yes, I think that's a good idea, but not for the children. I mean, they hear enough about it in the news. I don't think that they need to practice it. If the teachers know what to do, then they can get the kids to be quiet, to go under the desk, all those kinds of things. It's not worth it to frighten these other kids.
I certainly agree with you, but obviously I'm not a professional. On a similar note, there is, I think, such a strong case to be made for prohibiting the use of phones, especially smartphones, in school. And now more than half of the states have taken steps to ban or restrict cell phone use in K through 12 schools. And there's a growing movement led by parents, teachers, even some of the students themselves don't want it. But every time I bring this up, there's a strong chorus of parental critics that say, no. I have to be able to get in touch with my child at all times. Heaven forbid there's a violent incident or an emergency. I need that child to be able to contact me at all times. Where do you stand on this, Carole?
I think those parents need to go to therapy and leave their kids alone. I think that's a no-brainer. It's shocking that it has been allowed, that phones have been allowed in school for this long. Because how are you going to learn anything in school when you have this tempting little thing in your book bag or wherever, where you could pay attention to what's going on, seeing how many likes you got, for example, or things like that. It's too much of a competition to the teacher. And obviously if they bring this to school, they can put it in a locker or some kind of safe place, and then they can get it at lunch, or they can get it at the end of the day. I'm not saying to not allow them at all, but certainly not in classes.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm shocked that this is always so much of a debate among parents, really, because I find very little debate among teachers and administrators. They all seem to think it's a pretty good idea. Carole, you're working on this book now, and when it comes out, I hope you'll come back and we can chat about it. But it's called Murder by TV, A Descent into Madness, and it's the story of the Jenny Jones talk show murder, which I did not realize that you were actually the defense psychiatrist. I think a lot of people remember this terrible situation with the Jenny Jones murder. What's interesting to me about that situation, and hopefully we'll talk more about the case when the book comes out, is over the last, 25, 30 years since that occurred, it seems like television, reality shows, talk shows, trash TV, it seems like things have only gotten more extreme. But to the best of my knowledge, we haven't seen another one of these repeat talk show murders. Why do you think that's the case? If television keeps pushing the envelope and putting basically two scorpions in a brandy glass on every single episode of daytime TV, why have we not seen another violent incident like this?
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
At Sephora, we've got what you want because you're obsessed with your skin and we're obsessed with what it needs. Sephora has the best products to help you get beautiful, glowing, radiant skin. With an extensive, inclusive range of results-driven formulas and in-store beauty advisors to help you find exactly which are right for you, the best skincare is only at Sephora. Sephora, for all your skincare.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
Well, that's a good question. I think, the episode in the Jenny Jones show was Same-Sex Secret Crush. And it was where Jonathan was ambushed on the show, as were other people, too. It was 6 different groupings of people who were ambushing their friend, right, to tell them that they have a crush on them, same-sex secret crush. Now, this was in the mid-'90s, and being gay was more of a big deal at that time. Now, I think part of the reason is because, to some degree, they have been screening the contestants better, not well enough, really. But I think
in
that
terms
is
of psychological screening, you mean?
Yes. I have worked on some reality shows myself as like the consultant and screening potential guests. Of course, the problem is that the people who make the best guests, so to speak, the most have the biggest reactions, biggest emotional reactions when they are embarrassed or something happens, during the show. Those are the people who are least healthy psychologically. So the show doesn't want to put people on who haven't had, mental illness or some kind of psychological problem. The healthiest people are the most boring guests.
Yeah, I can understand that. Well, it's certainly interesting. Hey, Carole, before I let you go, tomorrow is the first and only vice presidential debate between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. And you're one of the most sought after experts and analysts when it comes to body language at these sort of things. For those of us that are going to be watching the debate, what should we be on the lookout for? What should we be looking for in each of the candidates or both of the candidates as an indication of something beyond what they're simply saying with their mouths? Well,
I think with J.D. Vance, he really is his big appeal is that he's very authentic. Now, he does use his hands a lot, to express himself in whatever he's talking about, but it's very natural. Whereas with Tim Walz, he is like, it's funny, like Vance is like Trump light, and Walz is like Kamala light. And Kamala, I've been describing her, and I've never, met her. I don't want to meet her, but so I haven't diagnosed her, one-on-one. But I have am saying that she has imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when someone doesn't feel that they really deserve whatever the position is that they're in, that they don't really have the qualifications for it. And Kamala knows that, how she got to where she got, including with Biden picking her to be the vice president, mainly because she was a woman and a woman of color to get those votes. And so she knows she didn't deserve to be the vice president, no less president. So her cackle is an example of the anxiety that she has because she's afraid of people finding out, that she doesn't know what she's talking about. Now, with Waltz, he also has that. He's ironically, he's in kind of the same situation. He can't believe that he's a pick for vice president, just like she couldn't, back in the day. And so he doesn't cackle, but he has when he sometimes gets angry, he tries to give this Minnesota nice kind of
right. He comes across very affable.
Right. But when he is stuck, if he gets asked too hard a question or he feels cornered in some way, and his fear is that now you're going to see he's a fraud, then he gets angry. He has this angry expression on his face. And so it's you can watch for that. It's very interesting. If you've seen some of his press conferences and so on, or his on the campaign trail, you see that. It's very sweet. I'm a nice guy kind of thing until all of a sudden when he gets asked something. Same thing with Kamala, but her main thing is a cackle. She also does she didn't cackle in her debate. She must have practiced forever not to cackle. But in the debate, she was grimacing more than usual, and her hands are flying all around. They flutter all the time. So those are some of the signs of anxiety. And I don't think, of course, Vance is going to be anxious. The debate means a lot to him. It means everything. But he's not going to be showing those kinds of signs. He's not afraid that people will think he's a fraud.
Gotcha. Dr. Carole Lieberman, always a treat to talk with you. Thank you. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
If you want to comment on any portion of our conversation, you can absolutely give me a call at 646-720-0635. That's 646-720-0635. This is The Other Side of Midnight. Straight ahead.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.